Hello, everyone. So, before we start today's episode, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the episode today. This was supposed to be a fan suggested episode. Thank you, Nick, for suggesting the episode. But due to a very unfortunate error, we ended up losing the episode. We cannot get that back, unfortunately. It was pretty devastating. And most of it was user error, but also the program that we were running through. We are still pretty new at this, and we're trying our best, figuring out all the quirks, ironing out all the kinks. It's an interesting time, but yeah, this was supposed to be a fan submitted episode. As you can see, this is not the fan submitted episode, but we will be working on getting that taken care of, and we will be working on that episode next week. We will be re-recording it, and we will have it out next week. So thank you for your patience, thank you for your kindness, and thank you for still sticking with us in this. Again, we're pretty new. We're just trying to figure everything out and get the ground under our feet a little bit. Unfortunately, that does come with some speed bumps in the end. But yeah, we hope you enjoy this episode in lieu of the episode that we were supposed to make. So stay tuned. Enjoy the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, people and persons, this is your 30-minute end of pop culture as you know it. I am your co-host, Gnarly Quinn, joined by the main man, Matthias, and we would like to welcome you to your weekly pop culture apocalypse. Hey, Matthias, what do you got for me today?
All right, Gnarly. You remember we talked about Star Wars last time, or a time before?
Yes.
Okay, and then you said you kind of got into it through your boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I wanted to level out with you, and this when I heard this, it kind of makes sense not only for longtime fans like I've been for the last 25 years, and that really makes me sound old. Actually, you know what? It's going on 30 years of like this. That didn't help anything. So, but do you know who, on that Star Wars Rebels, what's his name? The leader of the Rebels, the Jedi, the one that goes blind, what's his name?
Oh, shoot.
Is it Jace? Is that his name? No, it's not Jace. It's
No, I should have brought Eric on for this episode.
Janus? No.
I know it's like a weird, not weird, but it's a different.
It's Kanan Jarruk.
Jarruk, that's what it is. Kanan Jarruk.
Okay. Good. Like I said, Rebels is probably one of the better shows in Star Wars. I'm not just being biased. I mean, I feel it's just a good show. So the voice actor of him is Freddie Prinze Jr. And he played.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So he sat down, I think, when this show started going on, and with Dave Filoni. Now, Dave Filoni is he's up there. You know what I mean? In terms of Star Wars. I feel the whole thing should have went to him. I do. Like, after George stepped down, it should have all went to him. So he was. I'm going to try and remember this word for word, because this actually, once you hear it, it makes a lot of sense. So he was saying that throughout Star Wars, the Force is the one. The Force makes balance between the good and evil, the Sith and the Jedi. The Force balances out everything. All right. Luke Skywalker and Anakin, and even like Darth Vader, their skills don't dictate anything. The Force dictates everything. Like that's everything. Once you understand that, it makes a lot more sense. So he was going about it like, he put this into perspective. Let's say if Yoda and Darth Sidious was the two top, they are, and in the movies, they're like the two top, like the top Jedi, the top Sith that were alive at the time. So being said, Darth Sidious was a bit smarter because he studied the light side and the dark side, because the Jedi were too dogmatic, and they said, no, the dark side is this and this. We can't do that. So, long story short, the Darth Sidious is more knowledgeable of the Force. So, he knew about, like, the Chosen One, right? Anakin came into the picture. And to this day, I'm not sure if Anakin, I can't remember, so someone could fact check me. If Anakin was planned, or like if someone made him, or the Force actually just said, you know what, let's, you know what I mean? So, anyway, Sidious seeing this is like, oh, he's going to be a problem if he's going to be turn to the light side. So he seduces Anakin. He's like, you know what? Instead of fighting him, which would have been a good fight, both at their prime, he seduced him. Just like in the movie.
Yes.
By doing this, he doubled the power of the dark side. All right? Which we see in the movie, Order 66, the Jedi Temple, everything just got effed up. Everybody got messed up.
It was a plan that was so calculated that it completely screwed everything up.
Yeah. So by him doing this, he doubled the power of the dark side. The Force sees this because, like I said, Sidious knows a lot, but he doesn't know everything. The Force sees this, and what does it do? It creates twins, Luke and Leia, to match that doubled power. Yeah. Isn't that kind of neat?
Jedi. Actually, that's pretty cool.
It's like George Lucas is playing 5D chess, and he doesn't even know it.
No, or honestly, he probably does. He probably does know it, where he's like, ooh. Because it was just like one little known fact, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to throw that in there, see if anyone notice.
That son of a gun. When it comes to directing, respectfully, he's not the best, but if you in talks of like world building and storyboarding, he's up there with like J.R. Tolkien with Lord of the Rings. He's crazy, like the stuff he does, and Filoni just kind of went off that, like the stuff he did. But after seeing that, hearing that, I'm like, holy crap! That's because once you put that in perspective, you can kind of see who's going to live and who's going to die. Like in the sequel trilogy, when, like, it's not the best, but it's still Star Wars. In The Last Jedi, whenever Kylo Ren kills Snoke, Luke, the Force takes Luke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it balances it out. And then, now, the Return to, what was it called? The Return to Skywalker, or whatever that last one was called. It did kill off Rey, and then since they messed with the Force a little bit, so Kylo Ren switched it up, and it took his life instead of Rey to balance it out. Now, what they're going to do with the next set of movies, I'm not sure, but just hearing that fact that he was talking about how the Force dictates everything and balances everything out, it puts a lot of things in perspective.
It also makes sense, too.
Yeah, it opens your eyes a little bit how Star Wars works. Like, the reason I brought this up, because you were talking about how the Acolyte messed a lot of things up.
Yes. And it wasn't just so much that it was the Acolyte in general. It was who they got to direct it and I think it was just their team, basically their direction team, their production team, things like that. They openly admitted that most of them, and somebody else will have to fact check me on this too, because I saw a release that said either the director or most of them didn't even watch Star Wars and had no idea what they were doing whenever they walked into it. And you could tell for sure. So it wasn't so much that, like, Yeah, it wasn't so much that like it was just a bad Star Wars movie. Like no, that's not the case at all. It was the people going into it had no idea what they were doing, and it clearly showed.
That's unfortunate because it's such a great story. Like
It is too. Even when I was watching, it sucked because it could have been such a great story. It almost remind like Andor. I don't know if you ever watched Andor. It was
I want
good.
to so bad. I want to.
It's a bit of a slow burn, and also, if memory serves correct, we already know what happened to Andor and on Andor. So it seemed kind of moot a little bit to go over a story that we already know. But if you were, it was kind of nice because if you were just wondering like what happened during that time, this, that, and the other, it gave you a little bit of a fill in. It filled in that gap a little bit of that kind of not really missing time frame, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you watch the movies, all 9 of them. The not the spinoffs, the actual episodes.
Yes.
All the movies, they're in the view of the Jedi. And the reason I like Rebels, or not Rebels, Rogue One, and even Solo, is because it kind of puts you in the seat of, like, not the Jedi. It could put you in the seat of, like, other people's lives in the Star Wars universe that you don't really get to see. Like, there's much more broader picture than just the Jedi and the Sith. Yeah. That's why I like that. That's why, like, Mandalorian is a phenomenal freaking beautiful show because it has Jedi and Sith in it, but they're not, like, in the front seat.
They're just supporting characters in the show at that point. They're just there to tell you the story or to help out the story. It's from the point of view of the Mandalorian.
Yeah. I just thought I'd touch base on that. I just, to help you out, I don't know if you've seen that or not, but
I did not see that.
No, but once you put that in, like, in your understanding, it really makes things a lot more simplified and doesn't have to be so complicated.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that, yeah. It's kind of like, I don't know, kind of like an everyday, in everyday life, quote unquote good always prevails, but there's always an evening force. And even in comics alone, like that always happens. There's always some kind of evening force to balance everything out. You know, a good hero dies or a good villain, like a good villain dies. And there's another one that rises to the top.
There's just so much, I think there's so much you can do with Star Wars. It's not even funny. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. When I was, I'm going to hate saying this. I think it was in 2004 or 2005 when Revenge of the Sith came out. I was in 8th grade, 9th grade when that came out. And when I seen that, and then it completed the whole circle with the original trilogy and the prequels. It, you know, everything was complete. Everybody knows the story now. Like, I didn't know if they were going to do anything else with Star Wars. I didn't. Like, they made some games, and they're pretty good back then. They had some comics, but in terms of, like, main media, we thought that was it. Like, that, we thought that was the last thing of Star Wars we would ever get.
It's a little bit where we are now.
Yes, I mean, there was always rumors. I think now I think back to it, there was always rumors. They were always going to do a bounty hunter show. But I don't know if it was going to be, well, this is before streaming, so I'm not sure if it was going to be like a movie series or if it was going to be like a TV show. But there was always rumors of a bounty hunter show, and it never took to fruition. But then fast forward to 2000, what was it, 12 or 13, whenever episode 7 came out, I'm just like, holy shit. They're going to do it. They're going to make a whole nother thing. Everyone,
It's
that's
happening.
It's going to happen. It's like, oh my God. But what it was is I grew up with the Legends continuity.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the meat of my believing of what would happen after Return of the Jedi. So I went watch, because it was funny enough, is I never seen the sequel trilogy in theaters, because something always came up. But when I got
Sounds
on
about right.
when I got on Blu-ray watching at home, I got in the mindset of, okay, I kind of know what's happening. And then I'm watching, you know how it starts out, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then it's like, the
Classic.
and then it has an upward scroll of what's going on. I'm reading this and I'm like, what in the is this? Who's that? What? It blew
what
me.
What is going on?
Yeah, it's like, it was not what I expected. I think my expectations were a bit higher than they should have been, but can you blame me? I've been waiting, we've been waiting for this for a long time. But no, I think,
Say for how many years?
Right. But I think if they have the right people, not the people that worked in Acolyte, obviously, but the right people, they could probably still make good Star Wars shows and movies, because people just want more. Like, it's not, to me, I don't think it's close to dying. Like, I believe it's almost like they just scratch the surface, even though how big it is, and they can just go on from there. There's so much you could, there's so much you could do with this franchise. It's not even funny. It's like, you can pick a planet, like Tatooine. Well, they have enough on Tatooine. They could pick someone like Coruscant, or Kashyyyk, even, where the Wookiee homeworld, or Naboo, or whatever. They could pick a planet and make a whole freaking season about that, how it revolves around the Star Wars name. It just, there's so much that George Lucas did. It's nuts.
Well, that's kind of like, even in the video game, I think, because whenever the video game came out, and I'd never played it, but living with somebody who has played it, I think it was like Star Wars Galaxy, I think.
Oh,
where it was a PC game. I think it was PC, but it was so expansive, and it would take you, like, you could land on a planet and you could explore the entire planet. It put into perspective how big the actual Star Wars galaxy is, because it's not just a universe. It's not just it's a whole. I take that back. It is a whole universe. And they can explore every little piece of that universe. It's not just a storyline. It's not just like main characters. There is a whole universe going on during all of those stories that are taking place, and they can do so much with it. They can connect them. They can do little tidbits here and there. They could explore different realms that not a whole lot of people, and even being able to create certain worlds or certain characters, there is still room for that. I don't think George Lucas would like it very much, but
no. Well, that's like they did with
because he'd have to do it right.
Oh yeah, that's like with see, besides the Legends continuity, like the Tales of the New Jedi Order, or even Heir to the Empire, which is about Admiral Thrawn. Thrawn's an awesome villain.
Oh, he's good.
Like that show Ahsoka, you guys did it good. But my second favorite would be like the Knights of the Old Republic, like the shit that happened like thousands of years before the movies took place. Like, even that, it's just something that, like, you don't know, like, it doesn't mention any names of, like, there's no mention of the Chosen One, there's no mention of this and that. It just still has a Sith and a Jedi fighting, but like there's a video game that came out. I played it for the Xbox, the original Xbox, back in 2000, 2003. I gotta quit doing this myself. So this is 20 years ago. This game came out, and I wasn't really in RPGs. Like, the game is built around, like, BioWare back in them days was a Goliath. If you want to make an RPG, give it to BioWare. Because they did Mass Effect. Even Mass Effect was great. We'll get to that another day. But, like, I wasn't really a big fan of RPGs unless it was Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm playing this game, and the gameplay, I kind of simplified it because I wasn't that great at it, but just the story kept me going because the gameplay was kind of turn-based. Which, yeah, I don't know. When I first did it, my first playthrough, I wasn't great at it, and then I played it again. I got, like, really into it because I'm more of an RPG nut then. Let's see, I beat it when I was 14, and then I think I was 24. I busted out my old. You know what? I was on the Xbox store and I found it for sale, and I downloaded. And I played the whole playthrough. But my point is, just the story drove me to want to play more of it, and not just the gameplay. In fact, the story drove me more than the gameplay, and usually it's the other way around, or at the same level. It's just the stuff that you can get into with this is just crazy.
Oh, yeah. I'm not much of a RPG game style person myself, but there's been a couple games that I found that just the story alone has kept me in it. Like, I might not exactly want to keep playing it, but I want to find out what happens in the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what makes a good game.
Yeah. Like, you've ever heard of The Force Unleashed? You ever heard of that game series?
I think I've heard of it.
So.
I think so.
I don't think it's canon. What it is pretty much they said around the time that game came out, God of War was on top when it comes like action games.
Yes.
So they said, what would happen if we put someone who is like Kratos, just an overpowered, angry son of a, and just gave him all these powers and let him loose? And that's pretty much what Force Unleashed was. It wasn't really canon. I don't think it was. But pretty much Vader was on, long story short, Vader was on his crusade after the Clone Wars to hunt down the Jedi, and he finds this kid, and he senses how powerful he is, and he trains his kid up for the next 10 years, and he becomes his secret apprentice, and he pretty much uses him as a weapon to go do his bidding.
Ooh.
And long story short, the kid finds out what's going on.
Hence the Force Unleashed.
Yeah, and then he finds out what's going on, and pretty much he kind of starts the rebellion. And it leads into... it kind of somewhat leads into A New Hope, in somewhat, if I remember it right. But that was one of those games where the gameplay wasn't... It didn't suck, but it wasn't no quality, and the story was actually pretty decent. But just that enough was right there to get people's attention to where it has a mass following. Now this new game series that came out, the Jedi, what's it called? The Jedi Fallen Order and the Jedi Survivor. Those ones are really good stories and really good gameplay. I will back that one up.
I will say I do like... I think I got Fallen Order because it was on the PlayStation Store for...
Really?
I think it was like free on the PlayStation. Yeah, it was part of my monthly games, and I was like, screw it, I'm going to download it. And
really good
I haven't
game.
played... Yeah, I haven't played the whole way through, but it was still really good. And they did a pretty good job with the story. At least so far from what I've seen. I think I've just like dipped my toes into the game, but still already it's good.
And they didn't have to make it complicated. They just... I mean, the Star Wars is just so awesome.
Yeah, and it was really cool to go through and play as certain characters that you probably wouldn't normally play as. Yeah. And obviously this is coming from somebody who hasn't played any of the other games, really. But it was cool to see. And even like I don't mind gameplay because obviously playing Batman Arkham Knight and that whole video game series, playing games like that, I don't mind going through the stories. Like even whenever something tells you exactly what buttons to press and how to do it, like you still have that freedom to kind of roam around and play how you would like to play.
See, here's the thing. I got 5 minutes, but I'm going to shift to Batman real quick. So growing up as a kid, even a teenager, I like Batman. And then I got that game, Batman Arkham Asylum. After I played that game, I'm like, I love Batman. Like that was the game changer. Just that one game changed it for me.
But from liking it to loving it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like that was the just the right ingredient I needed to go from like to love. And well, there is 4 of them, but the actual trilogy, like Arkham City was just a freaking phenomenal game. Like the story,
great.
Oh my god, like that twist in that game. There's very rarely do I, like, after a cinematic happens, I pause the game to
stop and take it in.
Take it all, and that was one of them. The other game was BioShock Infinite, but we'll get to that another. That was one of the few games I paused and I'm like, how the did I miss that? Son of a... But then,
yeah.
And then Arkham Knight. I love Arkham Knight. A lot of people diss it because the PC, when it came out on PC, it sucked, and because it didn't work right. And a lot of people bitch about the Batmobile, but those people are dumb. That was the other way around. Arkham Knight is like the perfect gameplay for Batman, even better than the other 2.
And again, I had the advantage of playing it on PlayStation first.
Yes.
So I wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story is just great.
The story was good, but there was one part in there that made me upset. When I was reading through, Wikipedia and my game magazines, like I wanted to learn more before it came out. I'm like, oh my god, Arkham Knight. It said that the Arkham Knight is an original character that has not been introduced yet. I'm like, okay. So I'm playing through the game, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, that's Jason Todd. That's Red Hood.
They kind of
like, who the hell else would that be? Like, I'm not an idiot.
It's kind of obvious.
I felt like right there they kind of lied about it, but I got over it because I'm watching this. I'm like, that's Red Hood. That's Jason Todd. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't tell me it's somebody else.
No, you can't deny it. But especially if you were reading the comics, that was kind of obvious.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool.
It was cool to see.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, they could have said he is a character, but we're not going to ruin it for you. It wouldn't even take an idiot that long to figure it out. But
oh yeah, I think that they were just trying not to ruin anything. Yeah. But there was also a different way of going about it. You know what I mean? You don't have to just straight lie to us. Well, I can't remember what other movie it was like that where they brought somebody in, set photos, and like, nah, I'm not in the movie. I'm not in the movie. And then the movie came out, and then surprise, there he was. Like,
yeah, really.
You just lied to us completely.
But I will admit, I admit the part in there when he hits Scarecrow's gas. The Scarecrow and Arkham Knight part in that game's good. The best part's the Joker part because it didn't feel old and drawn out. That was the big twist of the game. That was like a twist on a twist of like, holy, he's turning into the freaking Joker.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Like that was the twist I liked.
Like that. Yeah. Because it was done very, very well.
Yes. All right, Gnarly.
Yeah,
I gotta go.
That's all the time we got today.
That is all the time we got. Hopefully that was good. I'll get a hold of you later. And
Sounds like a plan,
I don't know what I'm going to pick next time. Maybe I'll pick something different.
Hey,
You pick the
Switch it
topic
up.
and we can talk about it.
We'll do
Heck
it.
yeah, dude.
All right, I'm
Catch you
out.
later.
And that is all the time that we have for this week. Be sure to tune in for next week's episode of Apocalypse.